Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. This is a big one. From Vault Comics, this is Barbaric. It's a one-shot. It's called The Harvest Blades. This is special thanks to Circumstances who sent me this book so I can read it and review it for y'all. But let's get into the who's, why's, what's, where. It's written by Michael Moreci, art by Robert Wilson IV. Colors by Addison Duke, and letters by Jim Campbell. This one's pretty basic, pretty simple, but it was great. The story was awesome. I want to say the only downgrade I would say was the art. I love the cover and everything. The art is good, but it's kind of a step down from the main series, and I want to assume it's just because it's a one-shot. The book does tell us that there are a whole bunch of other one-shots on the way that will kind of explain a lot of the lore that entails Barbaric. But let's get into this. First off, it does start off with a lot of lore into Owen and Axe. It's set up with Owen telling a story to like a village or something like that. He's telling a story basically about the past. And we get to, right here, we get to see Owen before he met the Axe. We get to see his brother Steele, a random wizard that he didn't know the name or who he was, and then his leader at the time, a guy named Dead Heart. We see that they're basically in captivity, that they basically said they got caught while they were drinking and passed out with all their women and everything. That's why they have all their women in captivity. But basically they're about to be like sacrificed and given to some evil lord or something like that. And the wizard ends up turning the tables and releasing them. They end up getting the better on their captors and feeding him to the said god that they were going to be sacrificed to. And that's basically it. That's where, like, we kind of find out that he's telling a campfire story and stuff like that, so much that it's putting Axe to story. He's like, no, that's important, that was before me, kind of thing. I will say that the story and everything lines up and specifically exactly like the first storyline. It has the same humor, the same wittiness. I love the writing. I mean, it's on par. It's spectacular. But anyways, we basically get to the main story and we find that that Owen is kind of in this town. He's hiding out, and basically eventually like he gets a message from like a group of adventurers supposedly from another town, and we find out it's not really adventurers. It's supposed to be like and it's this guy specifically right here, but it's supposed to be like a knight to a certain kingdom, and they're coming to find Owen because they heard that, like, as long as you need help, he can't turn you down, stuff like that. We also know that Owen can only kill like evil or bad entities. They can't be like half-half or whatever. They have to be full-on evil kind of thing. And he also has to feed the Axe. The Axe has to drink and get its fill. But basically this group of adventurers, and it's just 3 people, it's like a wizard, a thief, and this satire looking guy who's supposed to be a knight, basically comes and spews this tale about how their kingdom is about to be attacked by these massive bats, and they heard about Owen the barbarian, and basically they came to ask for his help in the situation, knowing that he can't refuse him, basically. As they're going along, there's certain things that are mentioned. Basically the thief is brought along specifically to navigate the terrain. The wizard is there for like tactical defense, and the knight is supposed to be the big brave, everything. We find out shortly that he is not. Every time they show him, and you can kind of see him right here, he is very nervous, and but basically they start the journey, and they end up finding this massive evil spider that Owen kind of freaks off at the beginning. He's like, no, not this guy, and hey, this is going to be a long fight kind of thing. And eventually they go on a tow. During the fight, the thief ends up pulling out her blades, which Owen happens to recognize from certain stories or something like, and he kind of tells a story about that there was this famous mercenary that had a certain set of twin blades. And he kind of puts 2 and 2 together, figuring out that this is that famous warrior, and she's supposed to be in hiding or something like that, and that's why the lore is surrounded by her, and she doesn't just pull out the blades all the time. We do see right here that there is a romantic get together because they are both drawn to each other, and Axe is kind of not into the whole sexual ordeal or whatever. We do quickly learn on the next day that the wizard that they've been toting around, of course, is as some dark wizard or whatever, and he's there to portray, he's basically there to steal Axe. That Axe, based on his power set and power level and whatever, he's trying to get it to obtain more power, and so quickly they have to try and defeat the dark wizard, which doesn't go down too well for the group, but Axe eventually does it himself. The wizard kind of gets him too close to Axe, and Axe tells him that he wants to whisper in his ear, and as soon as he does, Axe just chomps down on his head. We quickly learn like the rest of the story and why the whole charade for the campaign, which turns out to be a big facade. But basically we see like the thief tells the story to the Satire Knight that basically a long time ago her people fought this massive war against these, really bad people, and basically the Satire people came and it helped her people win the war. As soon as they end up winning the war, they turned on her people and eventually enslaved all of them. Years later, she was found and eventually trained and turned into this thief / mercenary assassin, basically badass. And it says eventually she found those twin blades. Once she found those twin blades, it was, on like Donkey Kong, but basically she became a badass. And we find out the whole reason, and she's telling the story to the Satire guy here, but the whole reason that, and we find out that she lured, Owen, the Satire guy, and the Dark Wizard there away from the city, knowing that this guy would go, try and get Owen's help and blah, blah, blah. It was all a trick, and she knew exactly that the bats were going to come, and that they were basically going to come early. She needed Owen there basically to help to ensure that all these Satires would kill within the city. And quickly we learned that the bats, that they pretty much do all the work within the city, killing all the current residents of the city. Owen eventually has to take out a bunch of the bats, and eventually has to kill the alpha male within the bats or whatever. We do find out that Axe doesn't just like drinking every type of monster, and these specific monsters are supposed to be like rabid, full of diseases, which kind of intoxicates. Like it kind of takes out the Axe for a little bit. You can see right here he's got the little red axes over his eyes or whatever. But basically that's the whole plot and ploy of the story. Eventually Owen does kill the Satire guy. Originally he wanted to kill the Satire guy. As soon as he came for his help, he seemed like there was something off about him, but Axe has that magical thing where he can tell whether good people are good or bad, and at the moment he hadn't done anything bad. After learning all the backstory, Axe instantly was like, yep, he's bad, get him, and so Owen was able to take him out, and successfully her plan freed the whole city of the Satire overrule that existed, for, it says a little bit or whatever, but that's basically the one-shot story that they threw at us. A little bit from Owen's origin story and a little bit of what he's doing currently until we get back to volume 2, which they show a badass picture here, which that's the art I hope we're gonna get in the next volume. And like I said, the art was not bad. It's just that it was a different take than I was used to from the first issue. But man, this issue was good. It was just a simple story, but all well written. They had great jokes, quick-witted, I don't know, but hey, that's my review. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below. Have you read Barbaric? Did you miss out on it? And did you caught up with the one shot? Let me know. All right, guys, I'll let you go. Bye.